What's going on, everybody? Friday here with Friday's Gear Reviews. And sometimes an object goes beyond just being a thing. It becomes a symbol and a reminder. And today we're taking a closer look at the Ritual by Black Cross Ltd. This is a handcrafted piece of pocket art that's more than a conversation starter. So let's go ahead and get into it. So first of all, I just really want to say this is not for everyone. This is for the people that appreciate a different and unique approach to pocket art as a whole. And then secondly, I want to talk about the fact that this is not a smoking device at all. This has no holes or anything like that. So with that out of the way, let's go ahead and talk about Black Cross Ltd. As a whole. Now, they aren't your average pocket art company. They're a design house that's rooted in ritual, symbolism, and structure. Every release is limited and thoughtfully crafted and just tells a story that you really feel the moment you put this in hand. So let's go ahead and talk about the first look, or what you get, or how you feel when you first get a hold of this thing. So this guy comes in some packaging that's not flashy at all. As you can see, you get the tube and it's wrapped in paper here. And then you get with it a COA. Right here, let me get that real quick. And this is a Colorado Knife Party exclusive. So these are the materials here, which I'm going to get into in a second, but just kind of wanted to give you an overview here. So, like I said, the package is just a minimalist and intentional presentation, but the reason it's not so flashy is because Sam over at Black Cross doesn't want to take away the cool factor of what's inside, because when you take this out, you really get to see the craft and the care, and like I said, the just overall cool factor of this thing. And it's just hard to explain until you get it in hand and actually hold it. Then you understand that, hey, this is not just your everyday piece of pocket art. This is just a cool, fun thing to just mess with. So now let's jump into materials, because this is where it kind of really shines here. So the quote filter is a Lager G10, which is a warm. It has this honey color that gives off this golden glow. But then you pair it with the body here that is made from ivory Juma, which is the equivalent to like kind of an Elfrin material or G10, with these precision lines here that are red and blue Bakelite vinyl. And this is not just something claiming to be Bakelite. This is actually from the Bakelite company. And finally, you have this piece here that really rounds out the overall build of this. And that's going to be this mokume tip here. And the mokume tip really adds the perfect amount of weight and heft and balance to this that just makes it easy to kind of spin in the hand. Now, on paper, these materials might sound simple, well, minus the mokume, of course, but in hand, this guy really feels like the sum of its parts, and it just blends into something that is just intricate and tactile and satisfying. It's a light but durable and warm feeling that is something you just want to fidget and spin on your fingers all day. Now let's go ahead and talk about specs and your size comparisons here. So first of all, we're going to move this guy out of the way real quick. And we'll go ahead and start with the length here. So we'll get the good old tape measure out. Now this guy is about 3 3/4, just right around there. Next, we're going to go ahead and get the weight here. Let's go ahead and get my scale on. Okay, so let's see what we got here. We have 0.476 ounces here, so not a heavy object at all. And then next we're going to grab the calipers here to measure the overall diameter of this guy. So let me see if I can get it here. So this is right at 0.3855 inches, or 85 thousandths, if you will. Now, let's go ahead and talk about some size comparisons as well. Sorry about that. So we'll go ahead and start with the good old $2 bill here. Next, we'll get into the Sharpie itself. And then lastly, we'll do the whole AA battery here. Let me kind of bring it up there so you can see. All right. So now let's go ahead and talk about the origins of the ritual and where this came from. So after chatting with Sam, who is the maker of the ritual here and the owner of Black Cross, here's what he had to say about where the ritual came from and where the idea was born. Now this thing started as just the idea of the ritual, should I say, started as a piece of old dark brown paper micarta, which had this rich and tobacco tone. Well, that kind of gave Sam the idea of a cigar, and he wanted to make something that was different and stood out from the standard pocket art pack here, if you will. So he decided to try the micarta out, but it ended up having issues. It was brittle, it was separating, things like that. So he set the idea to the side. But according to him, the ember or idea stayed lit in his head and kind of just stuck with him for a little while. So later he found a bar of some ivory resin and thought, you know what? What if I tried a cigarette instead? That's when it clicked. He's going to grab some brown G3 material, turn it on a lathe, put it all together, and then he referenced the Marlboro Red specs, if you will, to make sure this thing was pretty accurate, or as accurate as he could be. But he wasn't making a novelty. He was making a symbolic object. A toy cigarette, maybe, if you will, but it had intention. And that's when the ritual itself was born here. So let's talk about the daily use and feel and how it carries, things like that. Once in hand, the ritual just kind of becomes this familiar thing. It's light but not flimsy, it's refined but not delicate, and it slips into your carry without demanding attention. And every time you reach for this thing though, there's this quiet sense of satisfaction. And this is not something you fidget with, this is something you interact with. Now let's go over final thoughts. So the ritual is not for everyone, and that's exactly the point. This is pocket art with presence. It's rustic and it has this almost archaic beauty to it. It's meaningful, it's intentional, it's symbolic. It's something that really makes you stand out from the crowd. If you've been looking for something that elevates your carry and something that tells a story instead of shouting for attention, this guy might be it. So thanks for watching. If you're into gear with soul and story, this might be it. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and drop a comment below if this is something you could see yourself carrying. If you understand it or you don't get it, just throw it down there. Thanks for stopping by, and y'all have a good one.